Glenn Maxwell, it's great to have you back in the studio. Welcome.
Long time, Jared. It's been 7 years, or six or 7 years, I think, since we've been here, but not even in the studio. I was in Richmond,
Yes.
so nice to transition to a new place.
We documented a lot together, and then in your absence, we have documented a lot. So the book's brilliant. I'll say that as a starting point. You and Adam Collins have done a terrific job. It's a great read. It's a very clever way of putting it together. What's it like to put your story out into the world?
Probably a bit relieving, I think, to sort of get a lot of things that have sort of happened throughout your career, be able to sort of document a lot of the things that have sort of happened. And as I said early in the book, this is a present to my family to sort of, I suppose, show them a bit of what's happened in my career, and it's something I'm extremely proud of. And to be able to sort of get it out there in the open is, it's a little bit of a weight off the shoulders.
I've got two overriding thoughts, and we'll do them one at a time. The first is it's a career that you could never have imagined because it was a career that was never possible. Is the trajectory of cricket changes as you arrive to it. So if you were your 15-year-old self, your mind would spin, wouldn't it, as to what your career has been? Yeah,
it's quite funny because when I look back at like teenage me, I was always focused on I really want to be able to represent Victoria. That's my goal, it's my aim, and if I do that, my career would have been a success. Like that was all my goals were sort of directed towards that. And I remember getting a phone call from my brother as a prank when I was about 17 or 18, and he changed his voice and sort of said that I was picked for Victoria and I was going to be playing, and then obviously put his phone on unknown number, and I remember just thinking, I can't wait to one day get that actual phone call. And when it eventually came, it was pretty cool, and I would have never imagined to have got to where I am today. Like having a 15, 16-year career at the top level has been extremely special.
And a form of cricket that essentially wasn't there, a competition that wasn't there, where you forged so much of your reputation in the IPL. So just sort of unfathomable, really, for that kid.
Yeah, and I detail it during the book. I was a Sheffield Shield cricketer. That was my goals, my dreams were to play successful Shield cricket and play for as long as I possibly could for Victoria, and red ball cricket was the one. And sort of by coincidence, sort of fell into the white ball space, and I always felt like I scored relatively quickly, but never to the extent that white ball cricket was going to be my niche and my market for my career. And it's amazing the way that sort of opportunities come up, and we detail it to an unbelievable extent in the book, where we talk about I got an opportunity because of a random spot in the Australian side, and sort of got pushed into a role where I was like, I'm going to try and make this my spot, and how do I suppose change my skill set to adapt to this. And the fact that I've been able to sort of keep that skill set for the next 15 years is something I'm very proud of.
And the second part is you've lived the whole experience. It's a lot, isn't it, when you put it all together?
Yeah, there is. And the good thing about the book, it's not an autobiography where it sort of details every series that I've played and every up and down throughout that. It's I suppose drawing on things that happened over that tumultuous year in 2022 and 2023, where I was able to sort of draw comparisons to earlier in my career, where there were some things that I suppose affected the way I went about things and shaped me into the player that I was in 2023, and almost to the point where it was just a maturing, I suppose, as I went through that early stage of my career, and to sort of get to 2023 where I'm at peace. I've got my baby boy, and the life has almost sort of gone that full swing.
So your experiences. Could you have made it easier for yourself along the way? Do you look at something and go, oh my God, if only I'd known?
Well, I read something from Wadey about his retirement stuff from yesterday, and it is one of those things that if only I'd known what I known when I was younger, and maybe made things a little bit easier for myself. But it all makes it part of the journey. I think it's what's fun about, I suppose, being young, maturing, finding ways, developing new relationships, and I think one of my favourite parts of the book is my friendship with Smudge and how that's evolved and changed over time, and to a point where we're really close now, and that wasn't always the case early days, and the fact that we were able to grow up and mature at different times and come to a really nice point of peace in our lives is something that's really special.
There are some great insights for your generation, which is a bridging generation, probably from the old world to the new worlds. And I think you do a great job in depicting that for us. How culturally, dressing rooms, coaching, the way the game's played, how seismic is the shift from your younger days to you as a veteran now?
Yeah, it's certainly changed a lot from, I think, coming into it. Obviously, you've got some big names in the change room that were still quite man-managed, I think, from up above. There still probably wasn't that 100% trust in guys going to do their own thing in training or whatever it was. It was very structured. It was very rigid, and the evolution of the game is we play so much. We play so much all over the world. We're 12 months of the year. We're here, there, and everywhere. So to sort of allow guys to physically, I suppose, manage themselves and then personally manage themselves around their training schedule, I think has probably been the biggest evolution. I think guys have a lot more trust in what they need to get prepared for a game, and then it's up to the individual. It's up to the individual. If they think they need something and they're not successful, they're going to find themselves out of the side. So it's up to their best interest to make sure that they're doing everything right to be in that space. And it's put the onus back on the player, which I think is a great way of doing it. Obviously, it's a bit different for the younger guys coming through. They're not quite sure what they need to do to get ready, and that's their evolution and how they're going to, I suppose, find a way to stay in the side.
And the cultural piece, dressing rooms that were pretty combative and borderline nasty to what it is now, a much more nurturing environment?
Yeah, the early days at Victoria were certainly pretty harsh, and if anything, it probably just made me a little bit tougher, I think, early days, and probably ended up showcasing the way I played early days and the way I was in the Australian change room, and probably didn't make it easy for myself early days, taking what I'd learned in the Victorian change room into the Australian change room, and sort of being a little bit abrasive and a little bit loud and sort of in your face. And once that had sort of tempered at Victoria, I was able to sort of also temper it back for Australia and sort of find that nice balance where I was able to adapt through different change rooms. And there was certainly a nice evolution through that period as well.
The pure love of cricket, which underpins a lot of this, how does it get tested along the way? There's clearly times where it tortures you, as well as still having that boyhood love of it.
Yeah, there was certainly plenty of times where I didn't have that same love for the game as I did when I was younger, and it did test me. And you have to go back to, I suppose, why you fell in love with the game in the first place and try and work out what you want to get out of the game. And I was able to, I suppose, draw on different things, either go back, spend some time with friends, family, people that knew me when I was younger, and really draw into those relationships and sort of try and bounce those sort of things around. And that made it probably a little bit easier when I went back and sort of, all right, I'm going to put my focus into my teammates. I'm going to put my focus into training and whatever happens on the ground, I'm just going to enjoy it, and not sort of put too much pressure on myself. And when you're in the limelight a lot, you can put so much pressure on results, team results, and it can drive your emotions sometimes. And it's a really unhealthy place to be. And same thing. It's one of those things I wish I knew when I was younger, and I was able to sort of, I suppose, enjoy the moment a little bit more and get more involved in my teammates as much as I possibly could, and sort of take away that personal aspect of what I was doing. But yeah, a lot of learnings throughout the book, and I just hope people really enjoy it.
The limelight has always been intense for you, so your career has lived in the headlines and on the show reels. Do you ever get used to that?
Nah, probably not.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it peculiar?
yeah, it is. It's a bit uncomfortable. I think that was the other thing with the book. I was obviously a bit nervous because it throws you back into the limelight, puts you back in front of everyone's eyes, and it is a bit uncomfortable. I've been probably a little bit guarded on social media as well in the past few years. I sort of haven't really put that much out there of my personal life. I've sort of been um, very introverted with what I've been doing. I play my golf, I play cricket, I train hard, and sort of try and keep it away from letting people in too much. And um, that's probably just a sign of I've just got my interests elsewhere. I've got my focus elsewhere. I know what I need to do to, I suppose, be happy, and that doesn't always, I suppose, count for the public being let in.
The starting off point is the broken leg, which is a horrific chapter. And we lived that in real time, little pieces along the way. How do you reflect on that when you, so it's the starting off point, so it's clearly a big pivot point. As you documented it, as you've gently told that story across a year or so, what's that come to mean to you?
It was uncomfortable reading it back. And I read that opening chapter a lot, sort of trying to make sure I got it right. And more so, I wanted to explain everything that happened and everything that I was feeling. And it's still uncomfortable reading it, just because it just takes me straight back there, and I almost feel the pain of that night every time I read it. And yeah, it shaped for the story. It's obviously something I wish didn't happen, but it's amazing how it sort of obviously played out over the following year. But it was pretty horrific, and I suppose the next week or so after that, sort of finding out the extent of the damage certainly was quite a big shock.
So for a little while, it was going to be career ending. It was actually going to be much worse than that in your mind for a little while.
Yeah, it was walking ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, potentially could have lost the foot, which is like amazing, I suppose, in the sense that I didn't really think too much of it. I thought, oh, broken leg, I'll recover, a couple of pins and I'll be fine, back running in 2.5, 3 months. We'll be absolutely fine. And I was so naive with the extent of the damage that I'd done, and I think they were surprised that I was back running when I was, and I suppose that was the thing. As soon as the injury happened, I got super focused in what I needed to do, as far as I'm going to put all my heart and soul into my rehab. That's all my focus is going to be. I'm going to ice non-stop. I'm going to do everything possible to get myself right. And I was so focused and driven during then. And all my focus was to try and get back for the back end of the Big Bash. And that was so naive as well. Like that, the Big Bash was, I think, 11 or 12 weeks post-surgery was the last couple of games, and that's what I was aiming for, which was just unrealistic. And the fact that I was able to get back for that Shield game, I think it was in early Feb, was a sign that I'd done a lot of good work, but it also showed how far off the pace I was, and that I still had a long way to go. And then when I realised how far I was off, I was thinking ahead, going, the World Cup's at the end of the year. One-day cricket's the hardest format physically. How am I going to get myself up for this? Because I felt like I'd got to a point where this was as good as it was going to get, and just realised I was so far away and had a lot of work to do, and it's pretty well detailed.
It is. Is it still a factor for you now, as you're heading off to training now? Does it still play any sort of role in your physical conditioning?
I'm still rehabbing it every day.
Yep.
It does still affect at different times, but it's not to the extent where it's painful. It restricts me too much. It just takes a bit more warming up to do. And the fact that I was able to get through the one-dayer for Victoria the other day and run around like I was young again, it's probably the best it's felt in the last couple of years. So that was a real positive last week. I was doing deep mid wicket to deep mid wicket in the same over, running across the Junction Oval, and it felt like I was a young player again. So there's a lot of positive signs that it's heading in the right direction. I've still got to make sure I keep up that rehab and keep up my gym programs and making sure that it's just always at the forefront of my mind to make sure that it's strong, it's healthy, it's good to go, and I keep taking care of it.
I want to just pick a few episodes. I don't want to play spoiler too much because there's some great stuff in here, even though it's stories that we've heard. It's beautifully put together. So maybe just a few. How unexpected was the first IPL auction that you would go for $1 million?
So that was number 2. The first one was it interrupted my uni at Vic Uni. I got picked up as a replacement player for Delhi Daredevils. So I went over there for a couple of weeks, and that was a great experience to be a part of the Delhi side and full of superstars, and felt like I was kid in a candy shop, just trying to, I suppose, learn as much as I possibly could off all these superstars. So that was a great experience. And then the following year, to get picked up by Mumbai, I talk about in the book where it was, we were playing against the West Indies, and just the naivety. I had no idea the auction was on. I knew it was around those couple of days, but I completely forgot it was on. Like, I knew you had a game, so that's all I was focused on. And when I got told after I got out, I was just in shock. I had no idea what to think about. And to have that in the mid-innings and then go out there and field, those 48, 50 overs, whatever it was when we bowled them out, it was hard for it to escape my mind. It was great having my parents over there in Perth as well. I was able to share that moment with them, and it was certainly a massive shock, and probably changed, I suppose, the dynamic of my career from then on.
Maximilian.
Yeah, and there was so many of those headlines, and to only play, I think, 2 or 3 games throughout that whole tournament, it felt like you couldn't really show your value at any stage, and I found that really difficult as well. Felt like I wasn't really earning my keep. I wasn't really showing what I was worth, and probably found that a little bit difficult at that time. And I talk about like social media being an influence. I think I went over there. I was about 50,000 Facebook followers on that stage, and once it was about week 3, I think I was up to like 2.5 million or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It went through the roof, and it was that sort of shock to the system where you sort of get engaged by it all, and you sort of feel like you need to give more back. You feel like you need to invest more, and certainly an interesting time, but also a bit of a difficult one.
Social media. So had Virat Kohli blocked you on Instagram?
What a great story that is. Like I laugh every time about that story, because that first day at Bangalore with him, I was just sort of scrolling through, just trying to find him, and couldn't find him, and didn't think anything of it. Not that tech savvy, not that Instagram savvy, and had no idea. And my wife goes, "I think he's blocked you." And I was like, "All right, I'll have a chat to him." Like, surely not. Like, why would he block me? And he went, "Yeah, probably." He didn't even remember doing it. So it was quite a nice little story, and we're close now.
How close were you to a Boxing Day debut, an 11th hour Boxing Day debut with a Shane Watson fitness test?
Oh, that was heartbreaking. And at the point, it probably wasn't, because I was, same thing, I was so naive. 2012, I'd only played a handful of games for Australia. I played the T20 World Cup in Sri Lanka just before that, and start of the summer, I started playing a bit of Shield cricket, playing okay, and I got a phone call. It might have been 7:30 in the morning from Mickey Arthur asking me to come in, and he just said, "Bring your kit. I'll explain when I get here." And living out in South Belgrave, hour into the MCG on Boxing Day, and I sort of got in there, and I was like, "What's going on here? Like, need me to sub field or something like that, or just need someone to bowl some off spin or whatever it is?" And basically said straight away, it's like, Watto's got a fitness test. If he doesn't come up, you're in. And I'd already handed my phone in by this point, so if he had failed that fitness test, my mates would have turned the TV on and gone, "What is he doing there?" Including my family, they would have been like, "He hasn't even told us what's going on." So yeah, it was amazing. I think even the lead up to the next test in Sydney, when Watto did get injured, I think he got injured in the first session of that test, and I got brought in for the next test, and all the talk was around me debuting at the SCG. So all my family and friends have come up. I would have had 50 people there, I reckon. Most of South Belgrave was there, and I suppose the heartbreaking part of that was I think it was the night before getting told we're going to go with Jono at 7 and play the extra bowler, and completely understood that. Jono was smacking him at that stage, but yeah, it was still a bit of pill to swallow.
And when you were fined by the Australian leadership group over the disrespectful remarks in their view of Matthew Wade, and it was $10,000 and you've written cash. Just tell me, what did you hand over and who did you hand it over to?
It wasn't like I handed over a bag of coins. I think I handed it over to the team manager, Gav Dovey, at the time. And but yeah, to be fair, until I actually told the story, I didn't really think about it too much. I was like, you know what, I've paid my fine. I've obviously copped it from everyone, and yep, extremely sorry for what I said. Completely didn't mean it to come across that way. And as a detail in the book, like I went in to the press conference just basically having conversations with people throughout the press conference, and it just did not come across what was going through my head at the time. And I think the chat was about trying to push my case, bat a little bit higher, play a bit more Test cricket, and I just got it completely wrong. And I obviously paid for it in cash after that. And
Cash or check?
It was cash. It was cash. Had to go to the bank and explain I had $10,000 cash out. Quite an odd one. Handed it to him in an envelope. I have no idea where that money went. I'm sure it paid for a few drinks for the boys after the series.
Glenn Maxwell is in the studio. We declare Glenn Maxwell Day relatively regularly on this show. That was the high point of it, the double century in the World Cup against Afghanistan. And it's sort of the other linchpin of the book is, what does that innings mean to you?
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I think the whole coming to that moment, I suppose being in the position we were, and I've always sort of said that I'd probably bat better when we're in a lot of trouble. I think back to myself and Alex Carey in Manchester when we were 5 for 70 odd, chasing 300, and we were able to get over the line there, both get hundreds. And to be in that much trouble, I'd probably given up a little bit of hope throughout that innings and sort of thought, well, we've got nothing to lose, and was able to sort of find a way to push it a little bit deeper, and made sure our net run rate was sort of taken care of. It wasn't, we weren't going to cop the thumping, which was going to push us, I suppose, below a couple of other teams. And for it all to sort of start to build closer to the end, and have an unbelievable partner in Pat at the other end, just been rock solid. A great, I suppose, fall for me at that time. And it's incredibly special to look back on, and one of those things that I'm incredibly proud of. The moment of the World Cup, the timing of it to lead into the finals, to make sure that we were qualified, and I think all the emotion around it probably wasn't there on the day because I was cooked and I didn't really think about it too much. But I suppose as you go on, you win the World Cup, you can look back at those little moments and go, that was bloody awesome.
Yeah. Cramping. And have you posed the question in your own head, how were you able to do it? Because you can never craft such circumstance. You could never really anticipate such circumstance.
No, you can't. And I don't think I was... I don't think I was planned for that either. I don't think I could have planned for that. I think the fact that it was all quite natural and sort of just happening in front of me, I was like, I'm tired. I'm just going to try and find a way to I suppose, hit the ball and we'll find a way. Like if it doesn't work, we were supposed to lose this game at 7 for 90 odd anyway. So what's the worst that can happen? I get out. We're going to lose anyway. It's as long as our net run rate's okay. And I was able to, I suppose, be pretty free and clear in my mind that whatever came down, I was just going to try and strike into a gap. And if it didn't come off, we weren't running. So it was sort of like it was sort of like a weird net session where my partner was just laughing at the other end, and there was no fielders sort of saving one. So I felt like I had, I suppose, room for error on both sides. So one of those things that you can't prepare for. But I suppose all the certain little practice things that I've done along the way helps me sort of get through that period and help me sort of find a way when it wasn't as easy to move around.
It's so fondly thought of. It had a huge national reaction the morning after and still does. It'll put a smile on so many faces. So what's been is in the showman. What's coming? You're on your way to training this morning. What does this summer hold for you, Glenn?
Well, it's a pretty big summer. I think everything that I'm probably doing at the moment is heading towards the Champions Trophy at the back end of the season. I think that's my World Cup at the back end of the year. That's the same thing as this book. Everything is building towards that World Cup, and this summer, that's I suppose where my vision is probably heading towards. Obviously, thinking about every game as it's in front of me, but I suppose physically and everything I'm doing is gearing up for that, and it's going to be a really tough tournament. It's a one-day tournament in Pakistan. It's one that we haven't won for many years, and one we probably haven't performed the way we would have liked in the couple that I've played, and it's certainly something that I really want to achieve, and I know that this group is very determined to make sure we can get over the line.
And then there's the Sri Lankan Test series. We've had conversations around Test selection throughout the years. Where, in your mind, how possible is that for you?
Yeah, it's certainly possible, and same thing during this month, I've been able to, I suppose, tick off a few boxes that I really need to tick off. It's been a long couple of days on my feet, putting myself under pressure in the field and making sure my body's as good as it can be. And it's passed all those tests really well. And I suppose heading into this summer, there was always that unknown of what it was going to look like. But I think even post the England series, I was able to get through 4 one-days in a short space of time in freezing cold weather. And my body pull up really well from that. So I think that now I've got that part ticked off. I think it's just about up to selection, and if I can be lucky enough to be on that tour, I know it's going to bring back some really good memories of 2022 when I was included late. And another really favourite part of the book is, I suppose, being a part of those net sessions early on, having not been a part of the test group since 2017, 5 years in between, and to sort of get that excitement from the red ball game again that I hadn't felt for so long. And I think as I describe it, it won't make my career a success or a failure whether I'm on that tour. It will be, I'm going to make myself available. I'm going to, I suppose, give myself the best chance to be in the greatest place, fitness and mentally wise. And if I'm lucky enough to get selection, great, I'll be ready. And it'd be great to get an opportunity over there. But there's obviously other things that are really driving me at the moment.
Yeah. So would it mean a lot to you to put the bagging green on once more?
It certainly would. It would be amazing, but I understand that there's a lot of guys obviously vying for those spots. It's a completely different place to tour. It's so different to what we face over here, and you only got to look back to that 2022 series, how difficult the wickets and the conditions were, and I suppose the extent that guys were going to change techniques in between tests during the series was great to watch. You had to be super adaptable. You had to be you had to think on your feet pretty quickly, and the guys that sort of had success over there were able to do that. I think Marnus got a really good 100. Greeny batted like an absolute wizard in awful conditions, and it was great to watch the guys, I suppose, evolve and change, and that might not have happened 8-9 years ago when it was we were probably very rigid in our ways. It was the way we play spin, and the fact that guys were practicing reverse sweeping and running down the wicket and trying to hit against the spin and all that sort of thing, and just trying to find a way that made them a bit more successful in those conditions. And I think that part of it I really loved as well. The constant conversations around the game was super enjoyable to be a part of.
So the last one is what you've been able to bring to batting for yourself and for others, probably for the generation that's followed. How much fun, how inventive, how creative is the mind in it's a revolution in batting like had really never been experienced before?
Yeah, I think when I started early on, I wanted to be someone that was fun to watch. I wanted to be someone that I would want to watch play the game, and that hasn't always translated into success. It hasn't always translated into big scores, big match-winning scores. But I think I've stuck pretty true to that. I think I've tried to keep the game moving forward. I've tried to be extremely aggressive and always try and take the game on. And the fact that my role's probably changed so much over the years to now where it's quite settled, lower down, coming at a certain time during a one-dayer, T20s a little bit higher, impact through the middle and try and take them down at the end. But the fact that my game's sort of curbed in some ways and found a way to, I suppose, harness that natural aggression but still have that technical side to it, I think has been same thing. I wish I had known what I knew earlier, and who knows, I might have had a slightly different looking career early days, but it all makes for the experience. It all makes for, I suppose, the evolution and making sure that you're hitting form at the right time.
You have been fun to watch, that much you've achieved for sure, and you will be fun to watch for as long as you're still going. Glenn, it's great to see you again. Congratulations. The book's terrific, and we look forward to calling you on Monday here in Melbourne.
Yeah, let's go. Can't wait.
Glenn Maxwell in the studio.